Hey, and welcome back to another segment here on Gems Podcast. With me today in the hot seat is Kyra Carlin, all the way from the Sunshine State of Florida. She is an online self mastery mentor or coach, however, she prefers to spin it. And we're going to definitely get into some of the incredible things that she's working on currently on the forefront as well as behind the scenes. So without further ado, please welcome Kyra Carlin.
Woo!
Oh, thank you so much, Kyra, for just coming on the platform and just sharing your knowledge and expertise within the community. I definitely want to give the audience a chance to connect with you in a fun and personal way before we dive into your subject matter expertise. So I'm sure you know what's coming next. There are two options you can choose from: a icebreaker or a rapid fire 10 question game. What are you in the mood for?
Let's do the first one. Also, thank you so much for having me on.
My pleasure. So we're breaking the ice with Kyra. So, Kyra, I want you to share something crazy that you have done in your life or a fun and interesting fact about yourself.
Something crazy that I've done in my life recently actually was go paragliding. And it was the scariest moment of my life. Genesis, I thought I was going to die. I was praying to God. I said, dear God, please, I really, really, really want to do this. Please keep me safe. Please keep me safe. And I was crying. My instructor made a joke about being in the air, and I just started crying. And he was like, oh my God, I'm joking. I didn't know that you were that scared. And I was so scared, but I did it. So that is something crazy that I've done recently.
So the follow-up question to that is what prompted you to go paragliding?
Actually, my boyfriend suggested it. He was like, you want to go paragliding? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to.
That's hilarious, because when we were vacationing last December coming into this year, January, my husband wanted to go paragliding. We were actually down in the Grenadines visiting my family, but obviously with me being pregnant, I can't paraglide right now. And normally we go zip lining, whenever we go to different vacation spots, whether it's visiting our family or if we're just doing something just the two of us. And I was like, dang it, this would be so dope, man. But I cannot get up there, be flying in the air with the belly in front of me. They'll be like, what type of mother is she?
Oh my God, they would be like, that is one cool mom. That baby is getting some adventurous vibes before coming out the womb.
Yeah, so that is amazing. And thank you for sharing that. Now let's jump into the segment. So, with you being an online self mastery mentor slash coach, what led you to get involved in the work that you're doing now?
Well, actually, I used to make fun of people like me. Hardcore. My house, I was raised Catholic, so naturally my parents just did it they thought that, spiritual people were all woo woo and stuff like that. So I piggybacked on that, and I was just like, oh, that's so stupid. And then I actually went through a 3-year period. It was the darkest period of my life. I got super bad addicted into drugs. I got involved with a lot of wrong people. I spent over 100K on, I'm not going to say nothing. I traveled the world and it was beautiful, but at the same time, I also, I didn't do anything passionate about it. I just got so lost and so pulled in a direction that wasn't my own. So when I was sitting there one night in the life that I was living, and God was like, get the fuck up, get up. Like, what are you doing with your life? And I listened to him and I quit drugs cold turkey. And I was reading the book The Secret one day. And then once I opened that book, my brain just ticked in a way that it's never ticked. And I've been on this mission to help people take control of their minds, take control of themselves, and build a solid foundation before they start on their journey to wealth in all areas. So that's how it started.
Wow, and thank you for sharing that, just really being vulnerable and transparent because, some people who do get involved with the wrong crowd and drugs and etc. Sometimes it's hard to see yourself getting out of that dark tunnel, that dark web and etc. And the people that are there trying to pull you out, you think that they're judging you, so you push them away or whatnot. And the cycle continues. So it had to take a lot of willpower for you to just quit cold turkey. And I think that's amazing. Was your family involved in your life during that period when you got involved in drugs, like really hard?
They were definitely. And it's actually a lot of things that I don't remember that I was doing because I was like so messed up. So they tell me stories sometimes, and it was definitely a hard time for them, and they were there for me as much as they could have been when I got off the drugs. I came home, everything was good. My mom always, held me and made sure that, I knew that I was in control of me. So they were supportive, but they also definitely went through it.
Mm. And thank you for sharing that. And so the secret is what gave you that aha moment and just hearing that voice of God telling you to get up. Then it's like everything snapped and neurotransmitters began to go off and you started operating on a different cylinder. So at what stage did you begin to tap into NLP? And for those of you listening, NLP is neuro linguistics programming.
It's funny, I realized that I had been working through NLP and didn't notice it. I do that a lot. I like have these systems and then somebody's like, oh, that's this, and this. And I'm like, oh my God, no way. So I've been involved in NLP really since I started. But when I really dove into NLP and understood everything that I had already been doing and everything that it says that NLP is, was about a year and a half ago.
So very, very recent, still new and etc. But it's great that you were already operating in the space, but you didn't necessarily know what it was called. And
Yeah.
I'm going to also factor in natural law because that's part of one of your niches as well. So whenever you think about natural law, what comes to your mind and what does that look like? Are we talking about the natural law like here in man's world outside of the spiritual realm and reality? Or what do you mean when you say natural law?
When I say natural law, now there's actually a lot of natural laws in the world. There's the 48 immutable laws of power or something like that. There's the 42 laws of business, natural laws of business. And then I simply go by the 12 foundational natural laws. And natural law, when it comes to mind, I think of the key that anybody needs to move themselves towards their empire, towards their castle, towards wealth in all areas. Because when you understand the way that nature is, it's nature. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy states that energy is always in motion. It never goes away. So that's why when you get around certain people, your energy can jump onto them or their energy can jump onto you because it transmutes. The law of polarity states that you can't be bright without being equally as dark. So if, I understand that we're trying to make the world a better place, and we are, but we also need to understand that even though most of us are rising to the light, there will still be so many in the dark because that's that law of polarity. We cannot have one without the other. Everything would be neutral and boring and, there would be nothing to fight for. Anyways, that's a whole nother can of worms. And to close it off, to give just one last natural law, the law of compensation states that whatever work that you do and put effort into it, you will be compensated. So whether you're doing God's work, he's going to compensate you. And whether you're doing the devil's work, he's going to compensate you. So whatever you're doing in life, you will be compensated. So the natural law is really just a beautiful way to bring awareness into that, the way that nature is and the way that this life on earth is, so that we can better prosper and be happier.
And thank you for sharing that. And you say you focus on the 12. And what are those 12 called again, Kyra?
All of them. So it's the law of divine oneness, the law of relativity, the law of cause and effect, the law of compensation, the law of attraction, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, the law of polarity, the law of inspired action, the law of, there's 3 more that I can't think of, and I won't hold it up, but those are the 9 of the 12.
Amazing. And out of all the different types of natural laws, because you did mention that they're vast, why did you gravitate to these 12 specifically?
Because number one, first of all, if there are 48, natural laws, like I get it and everything, like that's awesome. But like, let's stick with the basics here, huh? Let's stick with the foundation of the 12 foundational natural laws. And once you get familiar with those, you can then branch off into the 48 other laws and, incorporate some of those. But I definitely think that the initial and foundational 12 natural laws are the best way to get somebody moving fluently in the direction of their dreams.
I like that, because like 12 seems like it's more attainable and doable than 48. Like it'll take you a lot longer to achieve those 48, but it's not impossible. I think with 12, it's easier to pick apart and like put them in bite-sized pieces in order for you to achieve that, and then build upon them later on, in my opinion.
Definitely agreed.
And then another thing that you do outside of natural laws and neurolinguistics programming, NLP, you like to cover overall wealth mindset with you being an online self-mastery. And I think in order to have the wealth mindset, you first need to look at where your mindset is currently and how can you get to the next level by working on some of the things that are holding you back and getting rid of the old programming and introducing new program. Would you agree or disagree with that sentiment?
I would definitely agree, especially the last part. The last part hit me to the T, because getting rid of the old programming and putting in that new programming.
So what made you focus on that wealth mindset, and what does that look like when you're working with mentees or you're coaching people within trying to help them see what their overall wealth mindset is and getting them to bring things into fruition and manifestation?
So working with me to obtain that wealthy mindset looks a lot like journaling. It's a lot of journaling. It's a lot of sitting and relearning, and it's a lot of just rewiring in general. So a wealthy mindset really consists of, there's so many different things that it consists of, and when you work with me, you start to find your own out for yourself. For me, a wealthy mindset really is being able to not judge somebody when I'm speaking to them, being able to not judge myself if I want to be vulnerable. That looks like wealth to me. Being able to have a civil conversation with somebody without screaming or getting defensive or having my mind go to the worst thing, that's wealth for me. A wealthy mindset consists of being able to open up to your partner sexually and mentally and spiritually, and being able to be vulnerable with each other enough to move forward in life. And wealth also looks like to me, 17 mansions, at least one in Switzerland. So so the wealth mindset is not only money, it's really thinking about those internal parts of you today that you're not being fulfilled with, that you're saying, oh, well, if I were rich, maybe I wouldn't have this. It's not necessarily that. It's more that rich feeling that you're looking for is being able to create beautiful experiences for yourself. So wealth is not only material, but mentally, physically, emotionally wealth.
I like that, because whenever you think about wealth, it's the holistic aspects of wealth. And like you said, the mental wealth, the physical wealth, the emotional and spiritual, which all work together really to um, complement that mind, body, and soul experience. And what good is having, physical wealth if you don't have optimal health to enjoy the wealth that you have acquired? What good is having all this money if you're not physically strong and you're not mentally strong? So you're not competent in order to enjoy or really effectively steward what you have obtained, because if not, someone else is going to be managing that for you. So I like how you broke that down into different pieces, because sometimes when people think about wealth, they think about the money and they think about the intangible, but you also have to think about, they think about the tangible, but you also have to think about the intangible as well. And you have to look at everything bigger than where you are currently, in my opinion.
Definitely agreed. Yeah, it's about that, the intangible. Like, what are you going to do if you're a billionaire, you have like 7 different companies, you're amazing, right? And then what happens if, I don't know, your wife or your husband cheats on you, or one of your businesses goes down, and I'm not saying to plan for that, but I am saying that it's like a 0.1 possibility. And if it happens, wouldn't you want to be prepared? Wouldn't you want to know what you could bring out if your business went to the ground? Or are you just going to get rich, climb, and then if your business falls into the ground, you give up? You give up, you lie down and you say, I'm done. Or your wife cheats on you and you say, I'm done. You don't want that to happen to you. You want to be able to have that solid foundation inside of yourself that says, even if I thought that something was so freaking beautiful and I thought that it was a dream come true, clearly it's not, because God says there's something better for me. And you need to recognize that within yourself and be able to move forward, prepare yourself for your empire.
Absolutely. And I'm going to throw you an audible here, Kyra. Based on your subject matter expertise and the different niches that you focus on, is there anything else you want to add to this conversation that I may not have asked you about, but is valuable to, add that secret sauce on this amazing goodness?
I think that something that would be really valuable, that could add a lot of value to this episode, is that, for everyone listening, if there's that voice or that feeling or that silent anything that's inside of you that's saying, I could be better, that's saying this isn't the way that I'm supposed to be living, even if you are living a beautiful life and that voice is still inside of you, that is okay. That is okay. And I think that the best piece of advice and value would be to, number one, shut out everybody in your head. Shut out everyone's advice. Shut out any voice that you think is God. Shut out any voice that you think is the devil. Just shush. Just be quiet for a second and just feel and just listen. And when you feel that tiny, silent little something, that is who you're meant to be. So wake up, embody her or embody him, because the world needs you, and shit, we could all use a little bit of your TLC. So
I love that. And what you just said is, whenever you shut out everything that you're hearing in your head. It is getting you to practice mindfulness and be at one with yourself and find that inner peace in order for you to be grounded. And once you find that, you begin to come into who you are, not what you were created to be, or not what the world wants you to be, or what other people have projected you to be, but it is you because you're connected with yourself at the core, and you're allowing for those roots to really take root and dig in deep in order for you to flourish and thrive. But it doesn't come from chaos. It doesn't come from loud noise and chatter. It really comes from mindfulness, peace, stillness, and etc. And sometimes it's hard for us to just shut off social media, shut off our phone, shut out our family members, or etc. for some time. But sometimes I tell people, where's the one place that you're alone? Sometimes your bathroom. So even if you need to go in the bathroom, lock your partner out, lock the kids out, turn on the shower, and just be at one with yourself and really listen to that still small voice, whether it's that intuition, that discernment, or etc. Do that, because that's going to help you really get firing on all cylinders.
Agreed. Completely agreed. Yes, that being with yourself and that going in the shower, you know, and just having that moment for yourself, it's sometimes it's really just like the number one thing that you need to just feel so much better.
Yeah. And now we're going to jump into the call to action, Kyra. What is your call to action for the audience? Do you have a challenge for them? Any resources you want to share for them? And then make sure you plug your website and your social media handles.
So I am currently doing a manifestation webinar. I found the secret key to manifesting that nobody ever taught me, because I learned this when I was 18, and I just now actually learned the way to do it at 25. So I started using this key, and I got signed as a model in 2 weeks. I manifested my boyfriend in 30 minutes. And I manifested a few other things too. So this key is ridiculous. You can access the recording and then book a role play session later on. The recording is $222, and that is for reaching your absolute next level manifestations in any one of your areas. And then on July 1st, Enlightened Spirit Mastery School starts, and that's a 4-month self-mastery program with 4 session calls online with me. So my Instagram is Soul Designed Future. My YouTube is Soul Designed Future, I think. My website is KyraCarlin.com, and my TikTok is Soul Designed Future. So you can find me on any of those. DM me Wealth in All Areas if you want any one of those programs, because I know you do with your badass self. So yes.
Amazing. And for those of you listening, I'm going to spell Kyra's name. So it's K as in kangaroo, Y as in yellow, R as in Richard, A as in alpha, and her last name is Carlin. So that's C as in cat, A as in alpha, R as in red, L as in Lima, I as in indigo, and N as in Nancy. And I will have all of her contact information in the show notes. So all you need to do is read, scroll on down, and tap in with her. And then she did say to DM her that code or catchphrase. So one more time, what is that, Kyra?
Wealth in all areas.
Wealth in all areas. And I'm going to make sure she emails that to me so I don't butcher it. And she could get you plugged in with any of those resources that she just mentioned. Make sure you like, comment, follow, and subscribe. We're found on 40 plus platforms. You could also see this recording on our YouTube channel by typing in GEMS, GEMS, with Genesis Amaris Kemp. And lastly, but not least, where would I be without my supporters? You know I only think about you. You are so grateful. And I am so grateful. We're both grateful together because we can share and hold space together. And I want to thank you for supporting the guests that I bring into the community, as well as the mission behind the podcast to bring on content that is educational, inspirational, and motivational, while we also intersect diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Because of you and your continuous support, we're now ranked in the top 2% globally out of 2.8 million podcasts per www.listennotes.com. So we are having a worldwide impact. If you would like to be a brand sponsor, spaces are limited. Send me an email to genesisamarisKemp@gmail.com or head on over to my website, genesisamarisKemp.net, and click on that podcast tab to find out how you can become a supporter. Until the next episode, next guest, peace, love, and lots of blessings. Have yourself an amazing day. And we want to thank Kyra Carlin once again for coming into the community.